Hello and welcome back to Football 301. I'm your host, Nate Tice. Here we are today in the aftermath of week 2. We are going to buy and sell teams with different records, some undefeated teams, some defeated teams, and everybody in between. To help me do that on a really fun Tuesday show, like every Tuesday, it's my guy, Mr. Matt Harmon. How you doing today, Matt? This was only the first intro I did, right?
Absolutely, which goes well with what I was going to say with how I'm doing today, which is completely out of sorts. I am a very routine-based person, and the fact that I was up till 1:30 in the morning last night recording recap podcasts on 10 p.m. Eastern, and I'm not complaining, by the way. This is not a complaint. This is just the reality. Like it was fun, fun games. Really loved talking about them. It's just the reality of the situation. I was up late last night. Allowed myself to, I actually allowed myself to sleep into a normal time. It is pounding rain outside, so did not get to, get my steps in outside this morning. So I'm very much out of sorts, which I think is kind of the right energy to come in here and start judging teams. I think that's the clear head. No, completely out of sorts. Yeah, let's throw some judgment around on these teams.
No, I think I'm the same way. My son decided to wake up at 5 today. He wanted to hop on the Sunday pod. He wanted to wake up at 5 today. So yeah, I was up and early. I waited and waited and waited because I didn't want to send producer Stone a text at 5:45 in the morning West Coast time. So I waited until 7 a.m. West Coast time to go, hey, I got a thought about today's show. But you're right. Feeling out of sorts is kind of right. And even out of sorts on some preseason takes and maybe some of these teams and their feelings going into week 1, week 2, some of them that they probably thought were undefeated. Chiefs, maybe Texans are now defeated. And then we got some other teams that maybe we didn't think that we'd even have to talk about for a few weeks, like the Indianapolis Colts that they are sorted out, it feels like right now. But Matt and I are going to go through a whole bunch of them today and just let's see what our feelings are after 2-0. You know all the 2-0 stats or 0-2 stats and the likelihood to make the playoffs. So it really is fun to determine which ones do we believe in, which ones we still have some questions on. And I feel like I'm a little more bullish on some of these teams than I was expecting. So I'm very excited to sort them out with you. But before we do that, you know what is sorted out? The Yahoo Sports Network. Make sure to check us out there, our brand new streaming TV channel. The Yahoo Sports Network is available to stream on leading fast services. It's also streaming live 24/7 on yahoosports.tv. You can catch all of the shows on your phone or on your browser. That is the Yahoo Sports Network. All right, Matt. This is kind of it really was that Monday night doubleheader, which had some fun moments. And we usually might recap Monday Night Football if it's entertaining enough. And it felt like we had 2 games that we might have a little segment for the Tuesday show. But we're going to be talking about a few of those teams. So don't worry. There'll be a little quasi recap as we talk about the teams that played last night. So we're going to buy or sell the records that we have. We have 2-0 teams. We have 1-1 teams and 0-2 teams. That's all you can have so far. There's no ties, thankfully. But let's start with one of those Monday Night Football teams. Pulled away in Las Vegas. That is the LA Chargers, who beat the Raiders last night, forcing 3 interceptions from Geno Smith, which nobody is talking about. Justin Herbert continues to throw some fireballs left and right. The Chargers run game, we might have to talk about a little bit, but the Chargers defense looked excellent last night. They are 2-0. In an AFC West that kind of feels pretty wide open as we stand after 2 weeks. So I'm going to ask you, Matt Harmon, let's lead off. Are you buying or selling the 2-0 Chargers so far? I kind of think I know your answer.
Yeah, I'm buying. I'm the Chargers guy on this show. So 100%. Ooh, I love the sound there. I'm like, yeah,
I do too.
I like that. I'm like, I feel good about. That's how I feel about this Chargers team. I feel like the take that they're going to make the postseason this year that I had is on the money right now at this point. And some of the things I thought would be good about this team actually haven't been all that good. Like especially the run game, which I've been beating this drum now. I think we talked about it last week that this is a pass first team. It should be a pass first team. I think it is a huge feather in the cap to Greg Roman and Jim Harbaugh, but especially Greg Roman, who did not cover himself in glory in certain moments last night, particularly on fourth down. I mean, I'm sure you're going to talk about it. That being said, leaning into the true identity of this team, which should be, hey, we have a dude that is playing, other than one dropped interception late in the game just Justin Herbert is playing like near flawless football right now. He's making great decisions as a scrambler, pushing the ball to all three of these wideouts who, oh my God, I'm like obsessed with this 3 receiver set. I just think they complement each other so well. And I think in time, like, damn, what is it going to look like when maybe one of, or maybe both of Keandre Lambert-Smith and Trey Harris are ready to contribute more in the second half of the season? Like, I think they have some intriguing depth behind their top 3 guys. So, they can really hurt you on offense. And then last night, the defense just showed you, like, yeah, if you had optimism about Deion Henley, who I believe was your breakout player for this team, if you had optimism for, some of the guys in the secondary, Hart, Still, like they were just, God, that defense, like, Chargers fans, don't get used to Jesse Minter. I feel like I've been saying that since like the start of last season. Like, don't get used to this guy. He's going to be out of there soon enough. That defense was so good, and that was despite the fact that they lost their best edge defender in Khalil Mack. So yeah, I've really enjoyed watching this Chargers team on both sides of the ball. Obviously, yes, we can talk about the run game and we could pick some nits there, but without a question, like, this is one of the most impressive offenses and defenses so far in the NFL. I'm really buying what I'm seeing out of this team.
I am also buying the Chargers, who I thought,
let's go.
Yeah, I am, man. That you mentioned the defense and the DBs. That's just so impressive. Henley is a big part of this as well at linebacker because he's so athletic and just levels up. I mean, he's getting a lot of hype right now, so I don't feel like I have to like keep banging the drum about how good Henley is.
Hey, don't forget. But, right.
Yeah, but man, the DBs. You mentioned Hart. I feel like Hart's playing excellent football. I know football. The negative with a Chip Kelly offense with the Raiders is the passing game usually isn't expansive. So I was curious about whether Minter would kind of have their number. Has been exposed to college football, college offenses, and his kind of shtick, his calling card so far is how sound and well scouted his defenses are and how they can just snuff things out. They tackle well, and they had some missed tackles last night, but it's really group tackling. They always just have guys near the ball. That's why they're daring Geno Smith to attack deep. And every time he did, I don't think he completed a ball past 10 air yards last night. Geno Smith.
Nope. 0 for 13.
Yeah, and it felt like that all night. It felt like he only could get stuff underneath, and even that's like, then it feels really tight when you're not getting any yak afterwards. It just really, man, that defense put a much better taste in my mouth, and that's on top of what the offense has been doing. I mean, Justin Herbert, he's at the top of the board other than the Daniel Jones resurgence. I mean, the top of the board of like every metric right now. I mean, he is first in like net or second in net yards. He's like up there in EPA. He's third in success rate, second in EPA per dropback. Just doing all the right things. He's scrambling at a high rate, nearly a 10% rate. And that's on top of last year where he was scrambling at a very high rate as well. Like, so they're really getting through to him. He's healthy too, which is probably helping with some of that. But man, he's pushing the ball. And like you said, it was really just only one play where and that was the play before that fourth down, where I thought that was like, that was maybe one decision I didn't like by what he was trying to do. I thought he was just a little bit of a heat check on that play. But man, they're looking good. I mean, I know they have the offensive line worries, but they're doing a lot to mitigate it. I only thought I'll have my Greg Roman negatives right now is that, they're at the goal line and they just pound the rock, and it just gets stuff. And it's like, I'm sorry, that's not how you're built to win, Chargers. I feel like you need to be a little bit more spready with all these receivers and kind of just what your talent is, like spread to run. Which I think is a valid goal line answer. I think you only bully ball it when you have the bullies. Like the Eagles, I feel like can bully ball people. The Bucks, when they're healthy, can bully ball people. The Lions, when they're healthy, can bully ball people. It's like with these teams that have more middling or lesser offenses. All right, let's get into 11, make the defense try and match with light bodies, and then run on them. That's kind of just my theory, I guess, on goal line and short yardage stuff. I always think it's really funny, the teams that just like, no, we're gonna pound it. We're tougher than them. Doesn't work that way sometimes. The 4th and 1 was insane to me because it's Darius Davis's first offensive touch of the entire game. I know he returns, but first offensive touch. And you could say it's a power read, which I get, and you're supposed to read the end. didn't think the read was bad by Herbert. I just thought that it was doomed no matter what, because 2 blocks got missed on the outside. So it was doomed no matter what, even if they did hand it off there. I think Roman almost got lucky where he can go, well, it got fumbled. It's not my fault. But that was to me like a overthink it. Like Herbert's throwing fireballs. You got a first round back in Hampton. You got a backup back that's 240 pounds and Najee Harris. You could do a QB sneak if you wanted. And then the first play, the 4-minute drive on the next drive. Literally anything else. Like truly anything else.
Truly any other option. Yeah,
totally fine with it.
By the way, just real quick on that goal line sequence, that did feel a little bit like Greg Roman. You know the Bugs Bunny meme where it's like, "Lord, forgive me, I'm going back to the old me." That felt a little bit like Greg going back to the old me there.
I don't have the Stanford offensive line. Like I can't just do this. I was trying to
let me get one little hit of like power football. We've been doing all this pass first. Let me just get like one little hit of it.
Let's roll grade and pull him. Let's get some double teams going. I think it's really funny. Herbert's only targeting tight ends on 6.6% of his attempts right now. It was the lowest before that ever in a season is 18%. He's targeting receivers 82% of the time. 82% of their targets go to the receivers. I think that's hilarious. I think it's just like, duh. Like, yeah, that's what you should be doing. I just think that's so funny. Yeah, but he's scrambling more. He just looks like he's just playing fast. I mean, shoot, he has as good of an MVP candidacy through 2 weeks. Oh, this is what I wanted to look up. His air yards per attempt is 9.6 this year. He generally hovered around mid 7s throughout his career because he checked down so much back in the day. And the offense just looks really, really good right now. Outside of that sequence with Greg Roman, I'm feeling pretty good about the Chargers. So I feel like it's a pretty easy buy for both of us so far. And that AFC West is just pretty wide open right now, as we're going to talk about a few more of the teams. But just want to make sure I didn't miss any notes on this because it was an entertaining game. Khalil Mack getting hurt it is a bummer. But I do think they still have Tier Tart. They still have other guys, Tuli Tuliapo, who looks good at the edge spot as well. I think this is just a sound defense with an offense that can be explosive, and I think they'll figure out the run game as the weeks go along. I don't think it's ever going to be a top 10 run game this year, but I do think they can get at least to that 39-40% rushing success rate kind of golden mark. If you can get to that, you're fine. You just got to get to 39-40%, and then you're okay. So, yeah, Chargers, man. It's been pretty fun. Oh, this is what I wanted to say. The 4-minute drive. This was my other Greg Roman knock. Sorry, I was just saying their praises. Running right at Max Crosby with a tight end blocking him on your first play of 4 minute. I just got on freaking John Morton about this with Sam Laporta. Like, Max Crosby is going to shred. Andy knows it's going to be a run because it's the first play of a 4-minute drive. And then they take Hampton out the next drive like it's his fault. It's like, no, that's a play design, play caller fault. You got to have a check. Like, that's offenses will have checks. Like when we played Von Miller, we'd always be like, well, we're not when I was with the Raiders, well, we're not running at Von Miller. Okay, check. We'll make sure our run play has a check where we can either pass or have something that's away or a motion that can move towards him, something to affect him. But sorry, I just had to give that last parting shot. I never forget Greg Roman. I never forget. Never. All right. So moving on to the next team. A team that I thought I would be banning for a while, and now they're like one of my more favorite watches in the entire NFL. That is the Indianapolis Colts, who are at 2-0, and actually probably have the best vibes, maybe in the NFL, but for sure in the AFC South. So, first time since 2009 that the Colts have been 2-0. Wow, that's a great stat. All right, Matt, are you buying or selling the Indianapolis Colts?
Shoot, it's like I think the first time since then that they've even just won their opener. They've had a horrible run in week one, and I was definitely like, okay, I don't know if I'm totally buying what I saw in week one, but I think after seeing week two, I'm willing to kind of tepidly buy this. I don't know if I want to pay full dollar amount, but I am willing to tepidly buy it because. Yeah, can I get it at a little bit of a markdown here? Can I buy? I'm not buying the dip necessarily. I am you have to be buying it high right now, but I do wish I don't know. I wish I had bought the dip on the Colts this offseason just because I'm never on the right side of history with these quarterback reclamation projects. And it's just tough. And honestly, it's really really caused me to think like big picture about the quarterback position, which is probably not a conversation to have on this show, obviously, as we got a lot to get through here. But man, I mean, just it's honestly just, it doesn't really have much to do with Daniel Jones, to be quite honest here. And I'm not saying that to take away anything from Daniel Jones, because I think he is simply out there. You know, I've said this to you, like I think he's doing the Minshew minimum plus a little bit extra in this offense. And like when you can do that, the thing about like the Minshew minimum joke in 2023 is like, yeah, you know, they had rookie year Josh Downs. They did have a little bit more established offensive linemen, but they didn't have quite like the weaponry that they do around Daniel Jones right now. And my God, like you can really just feel it. I think the stat of the best stat from Sunday was from NFL Pro. Daniel Jones was blitzed on a career high 71.1% of his dropbacks, and he went 16 of 25 for 265 yards and a touchdown. That is the fourth most passing yards against the blitz in any game since 2016. And that's like against a defense that we all had as a consensus top 3 unit. And that is one showing, I think, a quarterback who is very comfortable in his environment, behind an offensive line that I think has played well through 2 weeks. Not perfect, but I think has played well through 2 weeks. And just like there's always an answer. You know, this is definitely a moment where the coordinator's like, or play caller Shane Steichen says, buddy, there's an answer on every single play. Just trust me and get to it. And that is what it felt like against Denver on Sunday. Like, oh, one thing's taken away, find another guy. And there's just so many different, again, options here. Jonathan Taylor is looking like, I mean, 2021, but maybe even better version of Jonathan Taylor. Like, so this offensively, I'm buying the structure and like all of these weapons being activated. And then defensively, like I said in week 1, it probably wasn't quite as impressive in week 2 just because they did have some injuries at cornerback. But I think the defense can be like solidly, maybe a league average unit. So I don't know. Yeah, like Nate, I'm sure we're all willing for we're all waiting for the Daniel Jones like trap door effect here, but like based on what we've seen through 2 weeks, like there's not a lot of BS in what we've seen through 2 weeks. Like it can fall apart, but there's not a lot of BS fakey stuff like through 2 weeks, which I think you maybe could have said about the Dolphins win because it's the Dolphins, but that was an impressive game in week 2 from them.
No, it was. I mean, like you said, against the Broncos defense that like, I consider still a really good defense, and they had a lot of answers for him. I'm buying as well. I actually am, because I think it's a wide open division right now. They also play the Titans next week, so I don't think that's going to push back at all. That they don't think the bad feelings, but after that, I believe they play the Rams, which should be a really fun matchup. But I think that this formula works. Like Daniel just got to keep the train on the rails. I mean, statistically, of course, it's 2 game sample size, but it's the best offense in the league. But right now, like this offense is built around the run game. And right now they have almost a 51% rushing success rate. Again, 40% is a good or better. 50% is kind of an all-time mark. And that's best in the NFL. They're currently averaging 5.1 yards to go on third down. And that's why Daniel Jones can keep it on the rails. Like you see some of his bad plays happen on third and longs and maybe in the red zone where he has to truly drop back and pass. But they've only had 8 third and longs total. That's 70 yards or more this entire season. For reference, the Titans have 15 already. The Bears, I just mentioned.
I was going to say, the Colts. Give me Bears and Texans. Give me Bears and Texans on this one.
The Colts are averaging 5.1 yards to go. The Bears are averaging 10.6 yards to go on third down so far this season. So I had that one looked up because it feels that way. Like it just feels like they have to get into hero mode, or like when we talk about the Titans, that's what it always feels like too. And man, the run game, I mentioned that the efficiency's there, but they're mixing up the calls. You mentioned the Minshew minimum, and during that year, how many RPOs did they run? It was like run RPO, run RPO, run RPO. It was like every play. And this year, I thought it was kind of nice. It was a nice little design tweak. It's nothing crazy, but some of them are RPOs, and then some they just have the receivers straight block. And I know that doesn't sound crazy, but not a lot of teams do that like as much as they should, where they mix it up. Like sometimes we run a bubble, sometimes we're running slants because it's an RPO. Sometimes we have outs. Actually, this time we're just blocking. And that actually leads to better run plays. You just have to commit to it, especially when you have. This is kind of like what I got excited about with this Colts receiving room last year. And this, I think you and I joked about this. It's like I'm kind of excited about like their potential bully ballness at receiver, like because they have like 3 guys that could be a power slot on top of Downs, who's actually a really good receiving slot. So like those guys can actually like block for each other and block in the run game, and you feel it. Jonathan Taylor too hit the fastest mark, the fastest miles per hour, I think, in max miles per hour in Next Gen Stats history on Sunday. He had the wheel route where he's running away from Patrick Surtain. But they have a formula that works. They can run the ball. They can get enough explosives through the air off play action. Some really cool designs of Tyler Warren. And then the defense just looks solid. Like they hold up against the run. They're burly. Cam Bynum, you mentioned him this all offseason, or at least when we talked about Colts and all that. Looks great on top of the celebrations with Blue, the mascot, which looks amazing. As long as Xavier Howard doesn't have to get targeted, they can hold up on defense. Do you have any guesses what his success rate allowed is so far? Like, so what offense's passing success rate when he's targeted?
It's got to be. I just watched the Broncos passing game recently. It's got to be pretty high. It's like, I'll say 78%.
Okay, it's 64%. Which is still absurd.
I went too crazy.
That's that's crazy. We've been freaking out about some performances. So yeah, it's basically what Jared Goff did on Sunday against the Bears defense. That's what he's allowing, cool. just as a corner.
Incredible.
Yeah. Allowing over 8 yards per target, and he's been penalized like every other play. So like that's one thing that's standing out to me. But guess what? Not a lot of teams in the AFC South could take advantage of that. So I'm buying the Colts. Moving on to another C team, CCC, cool, calm, and collected. This is the Cardinals. One of my preseason talking points that I wouldn't shut up about. And we got to continue the streak right here. They pulled out another victory. They were swamping the Panthers on Sunday, and they kind of let them back. Every single one of their corners got hurt. Literally, every single one of their corners got hurt, which is worrisome. But they pulled out the victory. Are you buying or selling the 2-0 Cardinals, Matt Harmon?
Yeah, I'm going to sell this one. It's like a 2-0 team. I think. Oh, wow.
Perfect.
We did not know what these sounds were going to be before we got into the show. So I love that. But that is how I feel sometimes watching the Cardinals. Like right when you get excited about them, there is something to give that sound. I think the defense is actually, before injuries did start to pop up late in that game against the Panthers, I think the defense has stood out, and it just, obviously you wish that some of these guys were going to be healthy, because I do think that this, like I said, this defense has impressed me over the course of the first 2 weeks. The offense, though, I just can't get on board with the offense. Trey Benson's had some interesting moments. I think he's maybe, it's funny, like we always do this in the offseason when teams say like, oh, this guy's going to have a breakout season. We like interpret that in our terms of like what breakout means, especially like in the fantasy sense, like, well, Trey Benson can't break out James Conner, but I think he's like broken out in terms of being like a useful piece for them. And to the team, I bet that is like to them a breakout. But we could talk about it. I'm not on board with the offense. I'm not on board with the Kyler Murray experience. And I don't know that I'm ever going to. It's just way too up and down. It's way too up and down for me. And I just think he leaves way too much meat on the bone in terms of, and I mean, especially in week 1, like just the lack of ability and lack of like willingness to pull the trigger on over the middle, like intermediate passes that are there. Like I'm sure we're going to have the Marvin Harrison conversation from what it was in week 2, but in week one, like I realized that he left plays on the field in week 2, and there's no question, like these are still things he's got to clean up. But like Kyler Murray is leaving chunk gains on the field every single week that are open, that are like, he's not like a sacrificial X receiver. Like the usage is not that way. Like he's not running all these go routes anymore, especially not in week 1. I think they kind of sacrificed him a little bit to JC Horn on the outside in this pass game for Carolina, which is fine. He's like the one guy you probably don't want to target. And then obviously Trey McBride was always going to smoke those interior defenders for Carolina, because the linebackers, and it might be the worst like linebacker room in the NFL. So I get it. Like you're going to want to pummel Trey McBride with targets there. But in week 1, I'm telling you, like just so many plays left on the field that the quarterback just doesn't let it rip. And I just think it like we're 7 years into his career at this point. Like that's probably not coming. That's probably not happening at this stage.
This is I'm okay. So I am buying because I can't get rid of this take yet.
Of course.
The Cardinals. So this is I'll just get that out of the way. But this is a heart versus head kind of thing going on right now because I totally agree with you. I think this is just what it is. There's going to be frustrating moments with this offense. I think there's still a relatively high floor, but like Kyler right now, just him, 10th in EPA per dropback, 14th in success rate. That's him. I don't think he could ever be 12th, 14th better than that because he's just not efficient enough. So it all comes down to their run game. And right now that just kind of doesn't look all that. Like that looks inconsistent to me, but they're going to commit to it. Like they're going to do that all the time. And I know certain guys were out. I think Tip Ryman was out. They're one of their blocking tight ends. But like, that hinders some of it and where some of my excitement comes. It's funny because some of the usage of Marvin Harrison Jr. leads me to some optimism down the road. I know here on the YouTube show, they pulled up that tweet that showed the comparison of targets between Neighbors and Harrison. Gotta stop doing that because the Giants offense doesn't you can't apply that apples to apples to what the Cardinals are going through. Cardinals play close games because they're winning. Giants are playing in circus carnival games because they're bad. Like big differences of games, big differences of offensive styles, all that. So I'll just talk about Harrison Jr. right now. More crossers, more in breakers, more over routes, more stuff that I do want to see. His top 3 routes right now are crosser, defined by an extra stats and PFF, but overs count as crossers. That's his number 1 route. Yes, that's exactly what I want to see. Still got the goes because he's an X, but then his third most run route is the ins. It's okay. All right. 35% of his routes are from the slot now. Last year was 27%. And he got a couple targets, got a couple catches from there. So it's like, okay, that's what I want to see. Most of his catches, most of his targets have been between the seams. 55% of his targets so far, according to Next Gen Stats, are between the seams. All stuff that's encouraging. And you see Trey McBride still killing it. Michael Wilson, of course, had a great statistical day and opened up stuff. It's really the run game is really the one that's just like kind of hindering me from like really being like, yeah, I told you guys so. Because I just thought that maybe it would have a little bit more efficiency to it. But I think, Kyler, I've kind of like made my bed with the take or made my bed with my opinion on him. I don't know if made my bed's right or I'm just set with my opinion with him. Like, all right, this is it.
It is what it is.
This is it. This is it with him. It's going to be frustrating. You just have to have the other surroundings to help that out so it doesn't feel as frustrating. So I'm with you. The defense looks a lot better. But Max Melton's hurt, who looked great in week 1. Garrett Williams is hurt. Will Johnson, who looks like a defensive rookie of the year candidate through a week and a half, is also hurt. He also has injury history. That's a little scary for me, because it's like that's part of the strength of their defense is that kind of like what they can do and the variable, all the variety that they can do on the back end. Pass rush wise, they've had 60% pressure rate when they blitz. They blitzed 16 times and they got 9 pressures. I think that's awesome. League average is about 45. Seahawks lead the league at 70% on blitzes, by the way. And then when they don't blitz, it's league average 28%, league average 30%. So that's way big improvement because last year I want to say that number was around 20%. And that's with, some other guy, Walter Nolan's hurt still. The Seahawks lead the league, by the way, in 4-man when they don't blitz at 46%. So it's pretty, newsflash, Seahawks defense is really good. So not a team we're going to be talking about today, but yeah, their defense is really good. I'm still buying the Cardinals. It's just I can't get away. But what have you thought about Marvin Harrison Jr.'s usage, or just maybe just the passing game? Like just one additional thought on that.
Yeah, I would say just also real quick, like the reason I might be kind of hesitant to buy the Cardinals is because I don't think we're talking about any of these other teams today, but I am kind of buying like all of the other teams in this division. So
correct,
like process of elimination. Like I'm buying the 1-1 Seahawks. I think I like what I've seen there. I'm buying the 2-0. I'm really buying the 2-0 Rams. As long as we keep the immortal chamber parked in the garage, I'm definitely buying that. And like 49ers, I think like Mac Jones is going to keep them afloat and they'll be fine. I think I'm still willing, even though I'm a little more nervous because of the injuries. But still, yeah, I do think I'm overall buying. Marvin Harrison Jr. usage, like, yeah, I noted this. I'm doing like weekly notebooks on reception perception, and I noted that like again, this is just week 1. But like go route rate is down slightly, slant route rate, dig route rate. The digs were already like the main route that he ran last year, digs, crossers, stuff like that. But he's run a lot more like, the shallow crossers, slants. Those are way up, almost doubled from what I charted in his rookie season. The post routes those kind of bigger over routes are up from 7.1% to 11.8%. So it's just like, we got the usage change that we wanted. He's never going to become like, CeeDee Lamb full slot receiver, but he's definitely moving around the formation more. So like, again, it just, the problem is I just don't think Kyler's ever gonna, like, that's just not the wide receiver that fits with him. Like, it's just not, like, which is just this kind of it's just a weird situation where I don't think Kyler's like a bad quarterback. I think he's just a bad fit for the guy that they took 4th overall. Like, he's definitely Kyler's a limited quarterback, and like Harrison probably isn't the exact player that they thought they were taking 4th overall, but like the guy he's been in the NFL, the way he's used best, I actually think fit, like, for all the complaints about Petzing, I think fits well as the X receiver in this offense, which wants you to run routes over the middle of the field, especially win against zone coverage and pick up chunk plays there, and those plays are available. The quarterback is just not gonna rip it on those because he hasn't at any point in his career. I mean, especially in week 1, there's a lot of like, it sounds mean, but like goofing around in the pocket, moving around, moving off your spot unnecessarily. And like, again, that's just who Kyler Murray is. So it's just kind of a little bit of an oil and water fit. That being said, if we're going to call balls and strikes here, like, Harrison's probably got to win that one. Could have been better placed, maybe contested target in the end zone. He's got to win that. He can't just clank it off the out route in week 2 against the Panthers. So I'm not saying he's completely blameless here and like, oh, look at this poor little boy wasting away in Arizona. I'm not saying that at all, but I think there's ways to access this guy's ceiling. Yeah, and with these two players together, I think unfortunately there is a cap to it that really isn't like the fault of. Again, it's not like I'm not trying to like assign blame here. It just is what it is.
We usually say some of its parts in a positive way. It's a sum of its parts in a negative way. Like they're lesser together than they would be separate, and that's why I think I struggle with it, because it's like there's nothing that's bad. It's just that I think there's a cap to all this. Even they're just their offensive system, their offensive flow, and I think that's why I think there's a disconnect with maybe some fancy opinions and some kind of like how I feel about it is that this is going to be a low usage offense. This is by design. This is just what they do. It's very methodical, but sometimes when it's not rolling, like the run game isn't, that's going to lead to a lot of frustration because that is the system. So, and also, Marvin Harrison Jr. got the DPI at the start of the game against the Panthers. So too, like that's got to get in there. What you mentioned about the division is very true. Just like my little aside about the Rams, full buy. I know they played the Titans, but that offense is crushing, and this is a great test they have. Oh my God. It looks awesome. They can do whatever they want. They got explosive runs now, which is like the one weakness of this offense. Yeah. And they're getting explosive runs now. This Devontae looks great. Puka looks great. Jordan Whittington's a lot of fun. Yeah, I'm all in. They're using more tight ends. And then great test for them this week against the Eagles. They sacked Hurts 7 times in the playoffs when they played last year. So that can really make me feel a lot better now that they play maybe a little bit of more complete team than the Texans so far, and especially the Titans so far this year. We are going to take our first break, and then we're going to come back with some one-on-one teams. All right, we are back with some one-on-one teams that we are buying or selling. I've been pretty optimistic so far with some buys. I'm just buying everything right now, I guess. So feeling bullish about everybody. Producer Stone, also I should have stated this at the top, was the one that kind of like laid out the menu of these teams, which I thought was really fun because I wanted to see what he went down. And the first one of the one-on-one teams that we're buying or selling is the Denver Broncos, who played the Colts. Very entertaining game. Lost on a leveraging penalty. On top of some other stuff, defense didn't really hold up. But they are 1-1 in a very competitive AFC West. Matt, are you buying or selling the Broncos?
Yeah, I'm pissed at Stone for including the Broncos because this is the one that
hard.
I feel the most conflicted on. Like every other answer, I know what I'm gonna say. And even if I hedged a little bit on the Colts, with this one, I'm still even in the moment, like not totally sure. So I think my gut says to sell on the Broncos. Yeah. And even now, I'm like, can I take it back?
So I can hear that. I just want to keep selling so I can just hear that sound effect.
I know. Even now that I just said that, I'm like, I don't know if I really think about it, if I really believe that, if I really don't know. Which is perfect for a 1-1 team, by the way, and the team that I was like, yeah, they're probably a wild card team. So I think the good for Denver, couple things. I'm obviously they got, picked apart against the blitz, like I just talked about with the Colts. But, by and large, I still really trust this defense. And as long as Patrick Surtain is healthy, I'm not worried about the defense. I think Riley Moss has played a really good football the last couple of weeks, especially in week 1. He's going up against day 3 rookie Alec Iomanner, but man, he was sticky in man coverage consistently in that game. That's a player I liked coming into this season, so I think he's had some good moments, some obviously some regrettable moments, but some good moments too. Just Nick Benito has been awesome. I'm not too worried about the defense. Offense wise, the reason and I know I said I was selling, but the reason that I could talk myself back into buying is that I really liked what I saw out of Troy Franklin in week 2. Not just how he played, but how he was used mostly as like a speed slot off the ball player, which is kind of antithetical to he was like a pure boundary receiver at Oregon. And I think that actually gets some of the nits that I could pick at him as a prospect. I could kind of get around that if he's being used that way. He really showed an ability, and the Colts had injuries in the secondary. I get that, but he had a real ability, really showed an ability to like break off the stem of his route and just like run away from coverage. And they kind of need that guy. They've needed like a second fiddle. He ran a route on 87.5% of the team dropbacks. That's just the 4th time that's happened for anybody that's not named Cortland Sutton since week 1 of last season that they've cleared 80%. So like they do, if he can stick, which getting the rug pulled from a Sean Payton skill position player would not be surprising if that's like just a 1-week blip. But if he can stick, that's helpful. I'm curious to hear what you think about the run game so far. I think it's been solid, and I think that obviously the more they can integrate RJ Harvey, that's another thing. Like they have some young players who can get better in the second half of the season. The thing that's weird is like kind of how they've done what they've done with Bo Nix so far, and this is maybe the thing that I'm most putting the pause button on. Putting the pause button on is that like we're in year 2 and we're still like cutting the field in half for him. We're still like a lot of rollouts and just slicing off one side of the field. I'm hoping for more, in year 2. And maybe as we get some more pass catchers integrated here, maybe if Troy Franklin really emerges, we get a better game out of Cortland Sutton going forward than we got last week. Then I think maybe we can activate the full field. But yeah, so far it's just been a little bit of a limited menu with Bo Nix so far through the first 2 weeks. And I'm hoping that's just a blip, but that's the thing that kind of gives me a little bit of pause. Like we're in year 2 with our first round pick quarterback who's had a lot of snaps. Why are we still feel a little training wheels ish, which I'm sure Broncos fans are not going to be happy that I said that. But again, that's less about Nix and more about like, it's more of the, like, why is that type thing?
No, I'm with you. I wanted to see the next step from the offense. Oh man, how to phrase this though. God, I really want to hear that sell sound effect one more time. Okay, I am buying them as a playoff team still. Like I am, just because I am selling my number 1 defense take. So maybe that's take poker. Sorry, Stone. That I'm selling the number 1 defense take. Still think it's a top 10 defense, but it just easily. But just like maybe some other teams have, kind of risen that we might be talking about on the show. Seahawks defense actually is one of them, but it's more, I don't know. But the offense as well. I completely agree with you on the YouTube show. You can see his target map. I also just think it is training wheels. Like the opening script Broncos offense is like the best offense. Just watch them just churn through people. It's awesome. It's just like everything works. Everything's great. And then when it kind of comes around, once you get into red zone, it's nice. Once you get into some third down stuff, there's some good stuff just because it's designed. God, just the drop back flowness, the fluidity of this offense just kind of just feels not there. And so that's kind of what you're getting at, like where the training wheels can slow down an offense, where everything feels very robotic, feels very, very in structure, I should say. And that's how kind of just Nick feels still, without those kind of explosives to really help it all out. There's a lot of stuff underneath. I thought the go ball touchdown was really nice. I believe that was to Marvin Mims. I thought that was a nice decision, a nice person to attack, the right time to attack it. But a lot of stuff just ends up underneath in this offense, even though that they have a great or a very good O-line at the very least. One of the better O-lines that doesn't give up a lot of pressure. And yeah, I just am not feeling maybe that next step yet. But like you said, maybe some of the young guys get ramped up. Sean Payton last year really ramped up this offense as the season went along. And that's the thing. I just said all those things. And there's, talking about the Colts game and everything, there's Bo Nix finished with a 50% dropback success rate. Like, I can't slouch that. Like, the ball is moving. It's not what I'd prefer. 4.9 average air yards is not what I prefer of an offensive attack. But again, that is working. It's their formula. Their formula, though, needs the defense. If you're going to play offense that way, that needs to be a badass defense like we think it's going to be. And I still think it is going to be a very good defense. I'm just kind of like selling a little bit that number one defense take. That's really it. Still buying them. I just think I'm with you where I just maybe thought I'd see a little bit more through these first couple of weeks. Maybe just, obviously if they started 2-0, we're talking a little differently. But yeah, still think they just have enough to really get it done. Yeah. So yeah. And it's just, we're going to talk about the Chiefs later, but like, man, it's theirs for the taking. Like, it's there. If they just got to clean it up, it's their division for the taking.
I think I'm selling relative to I think I had them as the 5th seed. And so far, they feel more like a 7th seed team. Like, still can make the playoffs. I still think they could be a playoff team, but they feel a little bit more like I'm still waiting for that next step.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. Like I don't think they've taken a step back. I just don't think they've taken a step forward. And based on the way I had them coming into the year, I had them kind of taking that step forward. I just looked this up because, you mentioned it. And again, this is hyper specific. Like, I'm sure it's a small sample size. But on first down in the second, third, and fourth quarter, so kind of taking out those scripted plays, obviously, and it's kind of what you talked about there. They're 22nd in offensive success rate as a passing team. So first down pass attempts, second, third, fourth quarter. It's like between the Cardinals, who we just talked about, the Browns, the Dolphins, and the Falcons are in this same territory of teams. So that's an area where I need to see a little bit more, as we're kind of pointing out here. So yeah, selling them as the 5th seed in the AFC, but I still think I can buy them as a playoff team, and I'm willing to completely course correct and admit I was wrong in a couple of weeks.
It's so funny that we're saying the exact same thing, but I went buy and you went sell. See, that's how you cover your bases here on Football 3.0.
Totally.
Because I'm I'm buying, but I'm selling how high I had them ranked. Yeah. But no, I'm glad you looked that up, because that's just how it feels. It's just one. And this is what my discussion when we did the preview show on them, other discussions about Bo Nix and this offense that's what it was. I just want to see more in the flow of the offense, where stuff just looks, the passing game wise. I think the run game is going to be fine. Dobbins is Dobbins. I think Dobbins is kind of, you're kind of mid-tier back now, maybe, mid-tier +1 back. And RJ Harvey provides a little bit of juice in that backfield as well. They're shorting that usage, and that's how Sean Payton is with rookies. But I think that run game is going to be a average or better, 16th or better run game, which is good. That's what this team needs. Just got to figure out the passing game and just getting true drop back stuff kind of going a little bit. And that's on Nix. And, the pass catcher's kind of figuring that out. So it's kind of a wait and see on all that. The next team that, I don't know, ask me on a different day and I have a different opinion on this team. I cannot figure this team out, and I rewatched them and I still can't really figure them out. And that's after they dropped a 50 burger on a division rival. Is it a 50 burger? I know it's a 40 burger. Is it a 50 steak, 50 sandwich, 50 whatever? But it's the Detroit Lions, who are now 1-1. What do you think, Matt? Are you buying or selling this Detroit Lions team?
I think I'm buying after week 1. That was just I wrote a whole piece on this, and actually it was funny. We talked about this on Fantasy Film Room last week, and then I wrote the piece after talking to you, which I kind of hated that I did it that way because I had so many more good like nuggets to potentially bring to the table that were all in the article that I wrote. Yeah. So this is from week 1. There was a really good chart that Scott Barrett, who works at Fantasy Points, put out. So again, in week 1, the Lions dropped minus 13% difference between 2024 and 2025 in their use of play action in week 1. They dropped 23.4% in their use of motion at the snap from 2024 to week 1. And to me, I was like, oh, that's not what you want to see, because we talked a lot about like John Morton, right? And how, and again, if you look back at like the school of team coaches that he comes from, you know, there's a lot of Gruden in the mix. There is a lot of, you know, Sean Payton obviously is where he was with last year. They don't do any motion. You know, Gruden kind of famously was a little mixed on the play action stuff with Derek Carr back in the day. So that set off alarm bells to me. But then but then I wrote this entire article, and I wrote at the very end of it, we also probably shouldn't overreact to the fact that they might have gotten, you know, just wrecked by what might be the best defense in the league. And it's really easy to push all the play action and the motion stuff when you're not in negative game script from basically like the jump, when you're down 10 points coming into the second and third and fourth quarter. So like, I don't want to overreact to some of the play calling differences. Well, the first game that we get in week 2 is the Packers taking it to yet another NFC playoff team of last year, and they firmly look established as the best defense in the league. So there's that data point. And then on Sunday, they come out, the Detroit Lions, they use motion at or during the snap on 60+% of their plays. Jared Goff, 18 of 29 dropbacks, excuse me. So there's that. And then the Bears defense seemingly did not even know that play action was allowed, because that's how dangerous that the Lions were on play action. So I kind of was like, all right, maybe just week 1, you know, your negative game script, maybe those were just unfounded concerns about the play calling and stuff like that. So I know they just dropped a 50 burger on the damn Bears, so maybe I'm overreacting to that overreaction, but I think I'm willing to buy back in on the Lions after week 2 and seeing them kind of just have that fireworks show. Maybe it says more about the Bears defense, but any concerns I had about the offense, I still think there are some minor concerns, but any like big flashing red lights coming out of week 1, I think I'm willing to kind of extinguish those, at least for the time being.
God, I just want to hear the sell soundbite again, but I'm buying them.
Well, you haven't sold anybody yet. You got to sell somebody.
I know. Just wait. We have more teams to get through. Don't worry. One of them got crossed off, but I'm going to still say it at the end of it. But no, with this team, it's just the offense, and that's what the offense is what makes this team go. Even if I think the ceiling, Charles had a great point about this on the Sunday night show, where he was saying that with Morton, the kind of the range of outcomes might just be so much greater, you know, just so much wider, because as opposed to with Ben Johnson, where it's like he's very sensitive to game script and maybe can kind of just go into a turtle shell when things aren't bad. Again, this is a 2-game sample size, 1 on the road, 1 at home. The Packers might be the best team in the NFL. Like, you know, that's just like you never know what you're getting into until we get like 6 games at least. They do play the Ravens this week on the road, which is going to be a great kind of a litmus test for both teams. But this is what's hard about this buying or selling. I wish there's that third option. It's like yellow light. My son has also figured out what yellow light means, but the defense I'm still worried about. Nice. Like, that's actually what's getting all of my concerns.
Interesting.
There's just and I mentioned this on Sunday night, the botches are really real. Like, and that's scary because those are vets botching what coverages I consider pretty easy to sort out. And watching it on all 22, it's not just me going off extrapolating 2 plays on when I watched it live and doing the Sunday show, rewatched it on all 22, and I was just like, oh boy, like this can get manipulated. And that's against a Bears offense that was figuring itself out on the road. Packers obviously got after it, but the Bears offense is still kind of, we're just trying to figure out what we're doing. And they're able to move the ball on third down. Caleb actually looked good on film. That's an interception, man.
Yeah.
Like, I thought he was cooking. So I know that again brings me a little bit of concerns. But I am buying this team because I just watched the offense. I'm like, oh yeah, they can do that. You mentioned the play action stuff, and it's just like, oh yeah, there's Jahmyr Gibbs bouncing the first touchdown to the outside and untouched. Wasn't even blocked perfectly, but untouched. Like Gibbs had an amazing pass protection
so
rep.
good.
I didn't clip. He's grown into just such a complete back. It looks like he's added some bulk too. He's a great in pass protection. Man, he's so good. But and Jameson Williams had some nice moments as well. Had one weird route. Still trying to figure out he botched it or not.
He had 2 catches for 108 yards and I think like a touchdown, right? I mean, it was just the most Jameson Williams game of all time. By the way, 15 yards per attempt, 195 yards, 84.6% completion rate on play action. It was just because we kept seeing the play action stuff. I mean, just obnoxious efficiency on play action week 2.
Everything worked. I remember I said this on Sunday. I was trying to find some split because I was looking at the same play action stats. I go, and the non-play action stats were like just as good. So it's not like that big standout split.
Right.
His passer rating was absurd, Jared Goff's. Yeah, but it's over route to Amon-Ra. But I thought it was really good. Isaac Tesla's coming along. I mean, geez, it's really fun to watch him come along. That's pretty cool. Run game's there. The interior trio. There's some communication stuff so far, but they're finding their way. So it's one of those where that's going to hinder them against better defenses. The Bears defense is bad. But it's not, again, it's so hard to discuss this stuff. That's why we are talking about it, but it's like, it's not bad. It's just not a true strength for the team. So it's just that middle ground with it's the bell curve. They're in the middle of the bell curve right now. Could they get better as the season goes along? Yeah, they absolutely can. That's what's going to help. One guy's a freaking rookie. So I do think it will get better, but I do think that can get picked at by certain teams, and get after him. But the defense, I'm keeping my eye on more than the offense now. So sorry, John Morton, for kind of dragging your name through the mud for a couple of weeks. But I do reserve the right. I do reserve the right in case anything else falls apart with this team as the weeks go along. And also, we mentioned this with other teams and divisions. I'm peeking at the rest of the NFC North. I'm looking at the Vikings and the Bears defense and kind of going,
2 teams not looking so good.
Vikings offense, Bears defense. Yeah, I'm not really feeling too good about them. So I like their chances a little bit better as well. Yeah, but I do want to say, an aside, Caleb looks good, guys. It's not his fault that his defense gave up a 50 fillet. Yeah, came up with a term there. All right, move on to, mentioned the Vikings, but the team that the Vikings played, the Atlanta Falcons, played on Sunday night, pulled a victory on the road, a very nice victory, I will say. Defense actually kind of carried them to victory, but that might be one of those discussions of who is it worse about, the Vikings or more about the Falcons defense, which I'm sure we'll talk about right here. But the Atlanta Falcons, Matt Harmon, kind of funny to talk about the Falcons with you as opposed to Charles. Are you buying or selling what they're looking like right now?
This is another kind of conflicting one, but I think I'm going to say that I'm buying it. In like NFC South adjusted terms. I want to sell if there was some dumbass that came on this show that said the Panthers were going to win the NFC South. I definitely think we should sell stock in that idiot. I don't know who could have possibly said that, but that's a take I want to fold on right now. That is a take I want to fold on, and that was a take I wanted to fold on like 2 quarters into week 1. Like, oh my god, how could I? No, I take it back. That's a take I wanted to fold on when I got the news alert that like Ike Ekwonu who's gonna not play like to start. I was like, and now Robert Hunt's on IR. Bail. Strike it from the record. So definitely wish I did not say that, but the Falcons are a team that I feel. Yeah, fair. Oof. Carson Wentz in our lives in the year 2025. Nobody was asking
with
for that, and yet here we are.
With a backup center and a third string left tackle. Do we remember what Carson Wentz is?
Just like waltzing around New Orleans at the Super Bowl last year? Like,
yeah. That's right.
Didn't
just
think
hanging out.
like waltzing down like when we were out, and I'm like, what's he doing out here? I mean, I guess he didn't have a game to play, but I mean, what are you doing out here, buddy?
Still don't want to see the week of the Super Bowl.
Didn't think that less than a year from that point we'd be talking about now he's going to start games in the NFL. So that is a thing that's happening. That team, the Vikings, is the team that lost to the Falcons on Sunday night, and it's definitely hard to parse that out in terms of Falcons defense good, Vikings offense bad. But I do think that I'm willing to be open-minded to the Falcons defense because they did get younger and faster in the offseason. They did like have a coaching change. Obviously, Jeff Ulbrich has been in there, and I think Jeff Ulbrich seems like he's trying some new ideas on the defense, which I think is encouraging to see. Offensively, it's been a little bit of a mixed bag through 2 weeks, but I love that they just could put their big boy pants on and just run the piss out of the football in week 2. That was awesome to see. Like, hey, you know what? We're going against a secondary that gives every young quarterback problems. We're not going to mess around and try to be cute. We're actually just going to get behind our offensive line, which even isn't fully healthy right now. But we're going to get behind our offensive line and just give the ball to our cartoon running back over and over again, just putting out like a show. And oh, by the way, we got another running back, Tyler Algier, who's pretty damn good at this thing too. And I think the passing game will come along. Like, I think Drake London hasn't even fully peaked yet. He's also dealing with a shoulder injury. Mooney is dealing with a shoulder injury. So, like, again, I think the passing game can actually really peak. So the more I talk about it, the defense is the big sticking point here, but I'm willing to be open-minded about that. Offensively, I still think like the best is yet to come for this team.
I feel a lot better of where the Falcons are right now, but I'm still selling them. And also just because I've been buying so many other teams, but I have to sell the Falcons still. I do think the pass rush is improved. I do think the team speed is improved on defense, especially where I was like, they are not going to be the worst defense in the NFL. And I agree with you. Some of the funkiness and Ulbrich, when he took over, I want to say Dan Quinn got fired when he was with the Falcons. Ulbrich took over as defensive coordinator. That was his first time kind of calling plays, and he did some really cool stuff on like passing downs and everything. And it's kind of one of those things that's always been kind of like in my head. But then he goes to the Jets, and it was just atrocious last year when he kind of had to take over. But that's all the Jets overall. Love the run
also,
game.
Also, double dipping between head coach and defensive coordinator, like that's like it was two promotions in one.
It's too hard. On my radar. Too hard. Yes, exactly. And so I would say on the defense first, they're a little light in the pants, which still scares me. And that I think teams that in a game script where they're not having a quarterback that like truly came and dropped back. I mean, the JJ McCarthy thing is just, I know he's injured now, but man, that was just so underwhelming. I know I'm not the only one to say that, but scary stuff and stuff where it's like, he does need some more time. And I'm very optimistic always. I always try to have a silver lining about players. And that's one where I'm just like, well, okay, we need some time on this guy. But I mean, they let up, 56% rushing success rate. I thought just because of the game script, the Vikings couldn't get that going against the Falcons. I just think that's always going to be the hang up. That was my bold take. My Hail Mary prediction was that the Vikings are going to run all over them because I see that. And I also just think AJ Terrell has been banged up. And the corner play is a little iffy if you can get to there. The thing is also, if you look at their schedule, like there's not a ton of teams they play that can really take advantage of all that. So I do like that for them. I do think the pass rush is improved. I do not think it's a top 5 pass rush like it's sitting right now, but I do think it's improved from the worst or the bottom 5 to more maybe average. I just still think they have some weakness on defense. And then offense wise, the run game, of anything in this NFL, like any unit, anything, it's like Josh Allen, Lamar, the Falcons run game. It's like those are the things I can kind of like set my clock to, and I know what I'm getting every Sunday or Monday. It's like I know what I'm getting out of this. Ton of zone, couple cool designs to kind of open some stuff up. Bijan just absolutely looking like a god out there. And just unbelievable, one of the best players in the league at any position. But then the passing game is going to be volatile with Penix and some of the other stuff they're doing. I think Zach Robinson has to merge stuff better. It feels very, very siloed right now still. Yeah. And I think that is hindering the pass game a little bit. because there's some telltale signs. Like even me, these coaching staffs are so good and so well scouted that like even me, I can notice certain formation tells that they have right now, but that can come along. I'm buying more into Penix. I know what I think I know he knows what he is, and I really like that. And you can win with that. Like you can win with Penix because he can create so many explosives and do some nice things. So I am buying more into Penix. So I am saying more optimistic stuff, even though I am still selling this team, just because they just have that weakness that I think is so hard to overcome. If you can't stop the run over time, there's going to be some games you can get away with it. Over time, I just think that always gets picked at. And then over time, you start losing games because of it. And game scripts become bad. And there's a trickle down effect of all that. So selling, but not as like a hard of a sell as maybe a couple weeks ago before the season or anything. They're doing some nice things, I think, in Atlanta. So just kind of a funky division to talk about. I mean, the Bucks, the Bucks are 2-0, and man, I could poke a lot of stuff of what they're doing in a bad way right now. So the Saints are 0-2, and I could actually bring up optimism about what they're doing right now. So just a very funny division. It's kind of, yeah, I know, right? Saints are one of my favorite watches in the entire NFL right now. Go figure. Like Spencer Rattler, like a competent quarterback can really do a lot, huh?
Yeah, baby. Yeah. Yep. Probably shouldn't have spent the 40th overall pick on a guy that's behind Spencer Rattler right now. But that's producer Colin on the fantasy show is like actively trying to censor me from talking about the Saints. But I'm like, no, this is a fun, bad offense. Like if they're not a good team, they're not going to win a lot of games, but they're difficult to play against. They throw a lot of cool wrinkles at you, and they have like just enough talent. And Spencer Rattler is just interesting enough, like for fantasy, especially. Oh, it's like the best bad offense for fantasy because there's so much like volume and so much like motion and just like there's just so much pace. Like Juwan Johnson's like a every week tight end one at this point. Like it's the best bad offense for fantasy, but it's actually a little bit actually difficult to play against from an NFL perspective too.
It is. It's really well designed. They're doing some no huddle stuff. I think is interesting. They ran a freaking one of my favorite routes, the Dino route, Chris Olave. That's a post corner post. And it's the smoothest Dino route I've ever seen in my life. And I thought it was really cool and just missed it on it. But yeah, they got Rashid Shaheed's good. They got I like it. I like their backs. Kamara's Kamara, but I thought Miller, actually, how about the young running back tout is getting there from our fantasy show, by the way, from fantasy film room. Some of those young backs are getting, Miller, of course, but then I think Devin Neal's interesting as well. Yeah. Saints are very much more watchable, even though we're supposed to be talking about the Falcons right now, but it's an interesting division, that NFC South. And real quick, we crossed it out, but Cowboys buy, sell, just real quick. Just, we can give one sentence. I just got to include it.
Buy-ish. I'm like buying ish.
You're just staring at that offense. You're just like, And I'm trying to the offense is awesome.
Hey, the defense was good. The defense was good in week 1. Like they can win shootouts, right? I mean, but the defense is. I mean,
the defense. Yeah.
Russell Wilson, 450 yards in 2025, brother. What are we talking
I can't buy
about?
that.
Like, come on.
I can't buy that. Yeah, with that offensive line and everything. Yeah.
I said buy-ish, okay, which means buying them as a team that's going to win shootouts.
But they're watchable. That's all. Hey, especially for a show like this, that's what we want. Even when the mediocre to bad teams are watchable, that helps so much with our content. So we don't have to keep talking about, it's Bills Ravens. Here's Chiefs.
Exactly.
Have you guys, about this guy, Steve Spagnuolo? Oh, guess what we're talking about after the break. But no, but the Cowboys, though, that I'm loving the passing game. Dak is playing like a monster right now. So yeah, but I'm still selling because that defense is bleh. All right. We are going to take our last break and we're going to come back with some 0-2 teams that we're buying or selling. All right. We are back with some buying and selling of NFL teams through 2 weeks. These are the 0-2 teams that we're going to talk about in this section. 2 of them. 2 teams went in the season with championship aspirations, I would say, at the very least, playoff run aspirations. We're going to start with the 3-time defending AFC champions, the Kansas City Chiefs, who are 0-2. Mahomes, first time, 0-2 in his entire career. It feels weird to talk about the Chiefs as 0-2. They did play a competitive game both weeks, once against the Chargers, who we are buying, and then the Eagles, defending Super Bowl champions last week. Matt Harmon, are you buying or selling the Chiefs.
Okay, I'm going to try to split the difference here when I say this.
Good start.
Yeah, right. Let me prepare my formalized statement. I am without a doubt selling this version of the Kansas City Chiefs. And what I mean by that is I am selling we are seriously lining up like Marquise Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster, and Tyquan Thornton and Kareem Hunt, like with a straight face in 2025 on offense. We're doing that. Like, yeah, I will sell that. We are doing that. Now, obviously, again, I say this version because obviously Rashee Rice will be back at some point. Xavier Worthy will be back at some point. I don't think those guys are going to cure everything because I think they're good players, but I don't think they're like those type of players. This is not like I don't give a damn about Rashee Rice's per route efficiency metrics. He's not like prime Randy Moss or something. This is not like we're about to drop Justin Jefferson into the offense and just fix everything. But I do think that getting those guys back and like, again, we're not feeding like layup targets to Marquise Brown. He's never been that guy. Again, like Juju, Tyquan Thornton, these guys should not be playing real deal snaps. But man, even beyond that though, there's issues on defense. The Eagles couldn't pick at them really, but in week 1, they absolutely did get picked on in the secondary. That gives me pause. It's just like not a lot of premium talent on this team right now because even right. Back on the offensive side of the football, it's like they have 2 great interior linemen and a rookie left tackle. Like he'll get better as the season goes on. That's also part of why. Fine. And he's playing well, and he'll again like hopefully get even better as the season goes on, which is kind of part of like I think there's still a November version of Kansas City that I'm willing to buy into, but like this version right here, I'm selling this because it's just like the run game continues to be absolutely atrocious. Patrick Mahomes leads all quarterbacks in scramble yards, 123 yards on scrambles. Like that's the best rushing play they have right now is Mahomes pulling the ripcord like he's in the AFC Championship game. And it's week 2. It's week 2 and we're already doing that. Like it just, again, if this was any other team, and I know it's not, and that's part of this, right? Like obviously Mahomes is Mahomes and Andy Reid is Andy Reid, but I just don't I don't love you were, and I'm going to give you credit here. You were kind of the only person I heard this offseason brave enough to say, I don't love the way this offense like feels anymore. The design of it, like the gadgetiness, the Mickey Mouse-ness of it all. And now it's like, it's one thing to be Mickey Mouse when you have a bull in a china shop complimentary wide receiver in Rashee Rice, and like you could put the ball in that guy's hands and he's big, fast, strong, and he can run people over. But then it's when you're doing it to the 2025 version of Hollywood Brown, don't feel so good, brother. Like, I don't know. So I just think the personnel on this team is like really atrophied. Like I think they've let it atrophy at this point, especially on the offense. And that's not even, again, to say that I think there are issues on defense too. So I can definitely just sit here and appeal to authority and be like, listen, it's Reed, it's Mahomes. They're the guys, and they'll probably be right back in the Super Bowl again. And, but like, I think that would be dishonest to what you actually see on the field right now, which like that product, if that continues to roll out there, that is a pretty easy sell to me.
They're the slowest fast team I've ever seen. Like they have all these guys that run 4.3s and 4.4s, and they feel slow and tiny and not good. No, I'm selling them. I like how you phrased it. Right now, after 2 weeks, definitely selling them. But this is the Chiefs, and that's why they always get a caveat, because they have proven time and time again they earned it. They get that from me. Week after week, they'll improve. That's what this team does. After the bye week, they'll have a bump and they'll boost up. Spags will figure out his personnel and get some new funky looks into highlight what he has. The offense, though, it was the top 10 in coaches show, and I had Andy Reid pretty much a lot lower. And it's just kind of like they have what I've always called the Texas problem under Mac Brown. They just have a lot of guys that just like of the same staff. Like, where are the new ideas coming from? Like I always said the Texas problem was Mac Brown. Okay, boom, been there 14 years, Texas. Running back coach, 12 years, Texas. Offensive line coach, 7 years, Texas. Tight end coach, 8 years, Texas. Like, okay, so all you guys do is it's so insular. It's so, There's a lack of diversity on the staff, and I'm just talking about ideas. What offensive systems you come from, and I keep saying that Andy Reid keeps kind of falling back into, it's like as time goes on, his safety net is that true West Coast offense, the Mickey Mouse nickel and dime offense, even though he's got what I still consider the dude at quarterback. But like you mentioned all the scrambling numbers. I look at, so Mahomes right now on dropbacks, he's 21st in success rate. Okay, which is crazy. So on just throws, so you're taking out sacks and scrambles. So just when he throws the ball, he's 31st right now in success rate. 40%. I've said this number 40 times. That's what you want the run game to be at, 40% success rate. You don't want just throws to be at 40%. The league average is 47%. And that's including, insert a lot of bad quarterbacks relatively compared to Patrick Mahomes and what should be the Chiefs offense. I get it. Rasheed Rice is not playing. Xavier Worthy's banged up because
but they knew Rasheed Rice was not going to play. That's what drives me crazy about this. Like that's not some, like, I know Worthy being hurt. Obviously that's unfortunate. You get blown up on a mesh concept that sucks. But like the Rasheed Rice thing is like, well, he's not out there. You guys knew he wasn't going to be out there. Now again, to be fair, that Jalen Rose is also hurt, and that might have been a nice guy to replace in that role. But it's just like that did not come out of nowhere. And Jalen Rose has been hurt like all off season.
Mm-hmm. Well, then that's the Hollywood Brown. Hollywood Brown's just a nothing player now. Like, it's like, what do you say you do here, Hollywood? Like that's kind of just like, all right, like, are you going to take the top off? No. Are you going to create a bunch of yak with the ball in your hands? No. Are you going to be big against zone over the middle? Like, at least Juju, I know what he does on this offense. Boom, zone beater. Boom, blocker. Done. That is your role. Okay. Pick up a couple yards after the catch. That is what you do. And then the rest of the guys, I just look and it's just like, all right. Like Tyquan Thornton's the guy I like the most in the receiver room right now, which is hilarious. Simmons is a hit. Like Josh at left tackle. He looks like a franchise left tackle already. Kingsley Suamataia is so inconsistent at left guard. He's still young, yada, yada, yada. I got to give the caveats, but he's inconsistent. He's not a strength of this team. The running backs, Isaiah Pacheco is slow. Kareem Hunt is slow. They have no vision as either. So it's not like they can be a great zone running team. So give Eli Mitchell some touches. I don't know what his health is right now, but give him some touches. Somebody different. And they went, like you said, you just went
out there. Who cares?
Somebody. I know. Like you said,
dude, I had this stat last week. Sorry. Yeah, like I had this stat last week. Chiefs have had 411 running back runs regular season and playoffs since week 1 of last year. 23 of them have gained 10 plus yards. 4 of them have gone for 15 plus, 2 for 20 plus. So far this year, they've got 1 11-yard one and 1 10-yard run for each back. 1 for Hunt, 1 for Pacheco. That's it.
So again, what do you do all off season? Are you trying to improve this? Like I can see the argument for I see the argument for explosive passes with boost up the offensive line. We get a little bit more speed. That's all that we look at, spark scores for receivers. But then like, where is it? Where is like all this? Like, where is it at? Like Mahomes, Charles brought this up. Mahomes is on pace to rush for 1,000 yards this year. You're not winning like that. Like, that's not how you want this team to win. I know. And it's like, yeah, he can do it, but Mahomes has turned into this amazing operator from the pocket and on top of the creation stuff. Okay, now Travis Kelce can't get open on the ad-lib stuff. So, so we got to take away the creation throws. All right, so creation throws are taken out. Okay, now we can't run the ball either. So we take the running the ball out. So now it's just Mahomes scrambling or Mahomes shots. All right, now Xavier Worthy's out. Hollywood Brown's a nothing burger, and we're relying on Tyquan Thornton, Patrick Mahomes to create plays in this offense. Cool. That's a great formula. Sick. And then you look at the staff, and it's a receiver coach that's been like a GA, and then a Chiefs assistant for 5 years, and a running back coach that's not coaching up anything. So you got Matt Nagy still on the staff. So I have no idea. It's very frustrating. When they got into a 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1 against the Eagles, and they trotted out that 3-back bullshit again, where they're all split in the wing T, and he does the same. He's done the same. Andy Reid's done this. I watched the 1998 Packers game. They ran the same exact thing when he was still on the staff. It might have been like 96 against the 49ers or something. And on YouTube, they're running the same exact thing. It's like, you're running a West Coast thing, and it's cute when you catch a team by surprise with it. Oh, we came out of this formation. Guess what? You've never scouted it. Boom, here's the play. you guys have been very relevant and playing a lot of big games.
Yeah,
I kind of know what your shtick is on short yardage. I don't even scout that stuff, and I even know what you're about to do here. It's going to be a reverse pivot, handoff to the left back, who's going to go to the right. It's going to be a little, like lead zone play. Oh God. So yeah, I'm kind of a little frustrated with this team right now. Brett Veach.
Yeah.
You're on fraud watch big time. All right. Going on to another team. I think it was an unanimous prediction to win their division, and they start 0-2. That is the Houston Texans. Matt, very curious what you feel about the Texans. Are you buying or selling them? They played last night, could not pull it off against the Bucs and Baker. Baker really didn't do much, but then had the late scramble, but still lost the game. Offensive line still. So buying or selling the Texans, Matt? There he played.
Stone gave me the premature sell, and I think I probably should. I've been ready to say sell all day, and then there was a moment right there when I almost thought like I'm gonna keep the light on, but then Stone just gave me the premature sell there, and I'm like, you know what? Stone is right. I should stick with my guns here. I think I'm gonna sell this team.
Okay.
I really don't want to. I really don't want to, because I want to like leave the light on for Nick Caley's new at this, and it's going to take time. CJ Stroud is, as we've talked about, probably too much. Like, this is the first time in his NFL career that he's running things at the line of scrimmage, seemingly. Like, obviously we don't know the full details, but it does at least, you correct me if you think I'm dead wrong on this, but like, it appears that was the idea, right? That he was going to take more ownership at the line of scrimmage. I think it's gone pretty poorly so far.
Yeah.
But
you can get a box of crap looking in the right direction, but it's still a box of crap. Right. It might be going the right way, but still it is what it is. Yep.
And this team stinks right now. So again, I do want to leave the light on for this team, but God, what we've seen so far is like the worst possible range in the worst possible thing in the range of outcomes to see for a team that we had concerns about the offensive line. Like, for me, I thought, okay, we're going to see a lot of ways that they can hide this, from rules and like Stroud taking more ownership at the line of scrimmage, and like we're going to get into these condensed formations and motion and pre-snap eye candy. We haven't seen any of that. I haven't seen any positive results of that. So then it's like, okay, well, guess what? Then you have an offensive line that is at a significant talent disadvantage, and they're going to get their asses kicked. And they got their asses kicked in week 1 out at tackle by the LA Rams. And then I thought the interior, even without Kalijah Cansey for a large chunk of that game last night, I thought the interior got its ass kicked in week 2. And it's just like, I mean, dog, like Todd Bowles, I know this is what Todd Bowles wants to do: blitzes, stunts, games, all that stuff up front. It's like, you don't even have to do that. That was like mean of you to do that. Like, these guys can't handle that. You could have you don't even have great like players up front. Kalijah Cansey banged up. You didn't even have to do that. And you still could have probably won with 4. I mean, it was just a very discouraging performance. So that's tough. Right now, so far, and again, like to me, the question was, Nick Caley, interesting guy, has like a varied background, some Patriots, a lot of Rams recently. I think this offense has felt a lot more Patriots-esque than Rams-esque to me through the first few weeks. Like, it's Nico Collins out at X receiver, and that's basically it. They're moving him around a little bit, but like, man, you got one guy on offense, one freaking guy, and he's running all these like long developing big boy traditional X receiver routes. Your quarterback is never going to get there, so he goes like long stretches of the game without getting a target. They have 10 dropbacks right now so far with motion at or pre-snap. 10 so far. That is tied with the Broncos for last in the league. That to me feels that's not great. Like, I thought we'd see more of that after Nick Caley spends all this time with the Rams. Haven't seen a lot of that so far. And then the thing that was really off my radar, I knew the run game was going to be what it was. CJ Stroud is like, I guess, cursed to never have a good run game in the NFL. The thing that was really off my radar was, and I think I have a good sense of this stuff about like, hey, this veteran receiver is going to play more early on than you guys think. And I said that about Xavier Hutchinson. Correct. 68.8% route participation through 2 weeks. Correct. The thing I did not see, though, was that Justin Watson was going to be the third receiver on this team with Christian Kirk. Justin Watson, and by the way, he's taken he's run around on 50% of the dropbacks, and he's taken 78.8% of his snaps in the slot. Like Justin Watson, even when he was with the X, or even when he was with the Chiefs, was like the ultimate sacrificial X receiver, and he's their like power slot right now. And they've got two rookies that like Higgins should have been a power slot, and Jalen Noel, like he has that big return, and I'm like, damn, you know what? That offense could really use somebody that has some ability in space and can separate. I wonder where they might have one of those guys. So that feels a little Patriots-esque too. Like, yeah, the rookies, we don't know. We can't really trust them. We can't really trust the rookies. And maybe these guys suck in practice. I don't know, but you need something else going on here. So I just have felt a little, the offense has left me really, really concerned over 2 weeks.
I'm with you. Jalen Noel had 10 routes. Jaden Higgins had 10 routes last night. I mean, to be honest, I think they only ran 48 total plays. The Texans did. Yeah. So 46.
That's boosting the numbers down. Yeah.
46 total plays, but still I can just do the math. That's less than 25% that they're on the field running a route for. It's the run game is whatever. Like, Nick Chubb had a nice moment. We ran in that touchdown. It's never going to be a successful run game. They just don't have the horses up front. But you know what helps that out? Motion, diversity of personnel, funky formations, not just standing up, lining up and going. Like that does not help out a run play or run game. So and they just don't have the backs right now to overcome that. Don't have the personnel to overcome that. It's just one thing after another. It's like one of these things like, okay, not every football stats can have so many variables and so much noise to them, but certain ones are pretty telling, especially when you know what you're kind of like expecting or good or bad. And it's just, all right, Texans O-line, bad. Okay. We know this. They're not good. They're not doing the right thing ever. They can't win one-on-ones. All right, let's look at some of these stats that kind of paint this picture. Yeah, plenty of pressures, all that. 2 for 9 on third down, this offense. Their average distance on third down, 8.8 yards, which ranks 29th. They've had 13 third and long attempts already. They just cannot sustain drives. They cannot. That's why they didn't have a lot of football plays last night. And so you're not going to get any success unless you're just doing what the Lions did and you're just getting explosive plays left and right. And like you said, this is just feeling more Patriots-y. All right, what's kind of like, what do you picture a Josh? I know it's not Josh McDaniels, but when we picture a Josh McDaniels offense, very tight, right? Everything's tight. Everything is just death by 5-yard gains. It's kind of by design. It can look really good when Drake May is just dicing people left and right last week against a zombie Dolphins team. Going against Todd Bowles, you're really going to go with the 22 minutes time of possession. None of their stuff, to beat a team like that that's heavy blitzing, you have to gash them. How do you gash them? Run play action, block it up. And it's kind of counterintuitive. Like a lot of teams are sometimes scared to run play action, but when they think they have a poor offensive line, because you have the quarterback turning his back to the defense. But actually, it can really help because you're adding blockers. You're adding a tight end. You're adding a running back. You can kind of wad it up a little bit, win more with bodies as opposed to true outright one-on-one winning. And so, okay, help yourselves out. They barely run any play action right now, it feels like. I mean, off just the top of my head. So it's like they are getting some explosive passes because Stroud's a baller. And oh my God, I saw some tweets that like Texans fans are like out on him. Was he get booed last night? I mute most games, so I don't really hear much. Yeah. He got booed? He's your whole team. I mean, he's your whole offense.
Yeah, people are definitely out on Stroud. People are 100% out on Stroud, seemingly based on the tone.
Insane to me. And I get it. Like, it wasn't perfect. Like, he had one bad one where he threw a pick as you run away from something. But, oh my God, he's your whole team. He's your whole offense. And it just feels so frustrating. It feels so tight. And I'm glad you brought up the young guy stuff. Like, when Damian Pierce was a healthy scratch, I was like, oh, okay, this is what we talked about in the fantasy forecast. I was like, oh, Woody Marks, boom, okay, get a young guy in there. He bots that protection. Okay, you're seeing something. Christian Kirk out. All right, seems like a great opportunity to play Jalen Noel.
Great.
Who plays the same skill set and has a lot of juice. Watch him on punt returns. Dude's got some juice. And he's a good blocker. So if you're saying Watson's a better blocker, well, give Noel a shot. That was one of his calling cards as a college player. It's a lot of like, they feel scared to try anything. And that's very Patriotsy on offense. But just overall, everything feels very tight. I trust the defense. Like, I think the defense is still very good. They get pressure like that. Will Anderson, Danielle Hunter look great. You can pop them in the run game too. That's something got to keep an eye on as well. Much better if you have a game script where you actually can score some points. But so far, these games are just becoming rock fights outside of like the first quarter last night. Man, I'm just trying to find what their answers could be. And it's like, well, I look at the offensive line. I'm not sure where the answers are ever going to come. And I'm not sure if they're going to play any young players to add some juice to it. They might in a couple of weeks, but I mean, clock's ticking, man. You're 0-2. And teams are winning in the AFC South. Like, so clock's ticking. You got to get going on it. Any closing thoughts on the Texans? A little parting shot, a little kick in the butt. Anything positive to take away? Well,
I mentioned the motion stuff. They're actually motioning a lot in the run game, which is like Matt Canada style stuff. I think they've got motion on 29 of 46 runs, but 10 of 64 drop. Yeah, remember that? I mean, they were always like, oh, if they're motion, they're running, and if they're no motion, they're passing. It was always a dead giveaway. So they're a little bit of that right now. Speaking of just like static play calling. Now here's my optimistic take. They do have an early bye. So they've got week 6. Like, maybe let's get to the bye and regroup. let's regroup on offense. Maybe get those rookies, get the post-bye rookie bump for Higgins and especially Noel. God, they need that guy out there so badly. So it just that's pretty much the only thing I could say about the offense, because otherwise, like, Nico Collins is a baller, but like, they're not using him in a way that you get the ball in his hands quickly. And it's just kind of with all the instant pressure, there's not a lot of ways to get him on those deeper routes at this point. I know. God, they have a 0% red zone efficiency. I was trying to see how many red zone drives they have. They're dead last in third down conversion rate, 22.2% overall for the season. Like, that wasn't just last week or last night, I should say. It's just like, oh, more of this, huh? They're gonna, and I do think Stroud, I mean, watching him week 1, he did so much. And then now I'm just like, I just feel bad. Like, it's just, they have to live by chunks through the air, and then you have to create ways to get there. And to me, they're not doing that right now because they just feel so archaic on offense at times. God, I can't believe you brought Man Canada's name. That just like made me feel so sad. Never a good sign. No. And well, that's okay. Real quick. I know we're going long, but the passing game motion thing, why it took a while for teams to start introducing that, is it changes the picture on the quarterback in the center. And so the line of thinking is like, well, I don't want to confuse my backup center that's in there, or quarterback that's trying to figure out the stuff. And I still think Stroud sees the game very well. But teams that moved past that years ago, like 5 years ago, was kind of like when that kind of changed league wide. There's some traditionalists out there that still don't do it as much. But to me, it's like, you got to give yourself all the chances you can to help. But the offensive line coach has a Patriots background as well. And I just think, too, as well, that he's probably like, no, I don't want to confuse my guys. It's like one of these things where it's like, well, we got to make it a little harder to make it easier on yourselves. And it feels like, to me, the Texans are a little scared to do that right now. Whew. See, I told you I had some negative sells by the end of this show. just hang in there. Not two teams I thought I'd be going this hard in on, but I think I'm just so disappointed in them so far. But we're closing it out today. That was fun doing some buying and selling with my guy over there, Matt Harmon. I'll be back on Thursday with Charles McDonald, Mr. Four Verts, to preview week 3 because the NFL season keeps on going. I'm Nate Tice. You can find me at Nate_Tice on social media. That is Matt Harmon. You can find him on social media at Matt Harmon_BYB. Also check out all of the Yahoo fantasy forecasts. I'll be on with him tomorrow, Wednesday, do a little film room session. But Matt, what else are you working on this week before you head out? Just wrote a piece on Joe Burrow and the Bengals offense and kind of just what to expect with that unit now that Burrow's obviously not going to be a part of it. The bad news for Bengals fan, the good news for a content creator is that we have like a wealth of information to go off because we've seen Jake Browning play a long stretch of time. So that's up on the site, and I'm going to talk about some of the other teams that have lost their quarterback here pretty soon as well.
Because there's multiple.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff to go on.
Even Jane Daniels is banged up already. I might have to see Marcus Mariota back in my life. Yeah. People are comparing Burrow to Andrew Luck, which Andrew Luck is still such an elite quarterback in my mind. And they had all these pressure stats, all these hit numbers. And then I noticed that Luck got sacked 27 fewer times. I tweeted that. And then people were like, well, yeah, because Andrew Luck was this, and that. I'm like, yeah, it's a QB stat, right? Or is it only sacks are only a QB stat when it works
only when you want it to be,
apparently.
Yeah.
But when we talk about certain quarterbacks, it's not a QB stat. It's an O-line stat. I just thought that was interesting. But that was fun. Thank you for buying and selling. Thanks for hanging with us. Thanks for listening to us. Make sure to subscribe to Football 301, wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us, rate us 5 stars, pretty please. Leave some reviews. I saw a couple in there. Would really, really appreciate it. I want to hear from you guys. Make sure to watch us on YouTube as well, on the Yahoo Sports YouTube channel. We're live Sunday nights to recap the week. It will be week 3 action this time around, but then also all of our shows uploaded there. Plenty of clips, plenty of great stuff on the YouTube channel. So make sure you check that out. Thanks to Stone, Madison, and Austin behind the scenes for making us look and sound good. Thank you all for listening. See you guys on Thursday.